Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to dive into a crucial topic, recognizing giftedness in diverse populations. Often our understanding of giftedness is quite narrow, leading us to miss incredible talent. We'll explore the special challenges in identifying these intellectual gifts, especially among varied groups, and importantly, we'll see how Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences offers a much more inclusive and equitable way to view talent. Let's start by looking at who is in our schools, especially in leadership roles. When we talk about our teaching population, over 85% of public school teachers are white females, often considered middle class. This demographic, while dedicated, can inadvertently influence how giftedness is recognized. There can be unconscious biases that lead to the focus on traditionally academic traits like strong linguistic or logical mathematical abilities. This can unfortunately under-identify giftedness in culturally diverse students whose talents might manifest differently, or in students whose cultural norms for demonstrating intelligence differ from the mainstream. It can also at times reinforce gender stereotypes. Similarly, our administrative teams are generally composed of white males. This leadership demographic can perpetuate existing systems and policies that may not be as equitable or inclusive in identifying and supporting diverse gifted learners. Their decision making around resources and program development may not fully address the unique needs of underrepresented groups. Understanding the history of gifted education helps us see where some of these challenges originated. In the early 20th century, from the 1900s to the 1940s, the primary focus was almost exclusively on IQ scores. Figures like Lewis Terman, with his longitudinal studies, shaped this view. The big limitation here is that these theories were largely based on studies of specific, often privileged populations. This led to culturally biased tests and a very narrow definition of intelligence, effectively excluding many brilliant minds from diverse backgrounds. By the mid-20th century, from the 1950s to the 1970s, there was a slight shift. We started recognizing creativity and achievement beyond just IQ. The Sputnik crisis, for instance, spurred interest in identifying scientific talent. But even then, the limitations persisted. Definitions still favored Western academic forms of giftedness, continuing to overlook talents expressed in different cultural contexts. It wasn't until the late 20th century onward, from the 1980s to the present, that we saw the emergence of multiple intelligence theories and broader talent development models. The focus became more inclusive, acknowledging various domains of giftedness. While significant progress has certainly been made, it's important to remember that these historical biases can still subtly influence our current practices. Let's zoom in on a specific underrepresented population, rural students. They face unique challenges. Firstly, there are often limited resources, fewer specialized programs, advanced placement courses, or enrichment opportunities compared to urban or suburban schools. Teacher training and gifted education might also be less accessible. There is an identification bias at play here too. Reliance on traditional tools can often miss giftedness that manifests in practical, hands-on, or community-oriented ways common in rural settings. We also see a brain drain where gifted students might leave for perceived better opportunities elsewhere. And critically, socioeconomic factors contribute. Rural areas often experience higher rates of poverty. For example, 12.7% in rural areas compared to 11.6% in urban areas in 2022. This can significantly compound the challenges due to a lack of exposure and resources. The impact on recognition is profound. Gifted rural students can be hidden due to a lack of awareness or limited opportunities. Their talents might be practical, kinesthetic, or naturalistic, which are often less prioritized in traditional academic settings. Our overall school culture in the US also plays a big role. There's a strong emphasis on standardization versus individualization. Heavy reliance on standardized testing and teaching to the test tends to narrow the curriculum, leaving little room for the acceleration and enrichment that gifted students need. We often see a deficit model tendency, where the focus is on what the students lack rather than what their strengths are. This is particularly detrimental to diverse learners who may not fit the traditional gifted profile. Parental advocacy is another factor. Gifted identification often relies on parents or teacher nominations. If parents have less access to information or advocacy resources, their gifted children can be overlooked. Finally, there's the ongoing equity versus excellence debate. The tension between ensuring equity for all students and fostering excellence in gifted individuals can lead to a reluctance to acknowledge or provide specialized services for gifted students, especially in diverse settings, for fear of appearing elitist. The impact on diverse learners is clear. It leads to a significant underrepresentation of culturally diverse, low income, and some gender groups in gifted education. Now let's turn to a model that can help us overcome these challenges. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, or MI, proposed in 1983, its core premise fundamentally challenges the traditional view of a single monolithic intelligence like IQ. Gardner argues that intelligence isn't just one thing, but rather a set of distinct intelligence that are relatively independent. Every person possesses all of these intelligence to a varied degree and uses them in unique combinations. So why is the MI theory so powerful for diverse learners? It offers a much broader lens for defining and recognizing intellectual strengths. It shifts our focus from how smart you are to the more empowering question, how you are smart. This embraces a wider spectrum of human capabilities and is inherently more inclusive and equitable, allowing us to identify talents that are often overlooked by traditional assessments. So just kind of to quickly go over the 8 intelligence, we have linguistic intelligence. These are our word smart individuals who are great at reading, writing, speaking, and storytelling. We have logico-mathematical intelligence, our number and reasoning smart people, excelling in logic, abstraction, critical thinking, and problem solving. We have spatial intelligence, the picture smart individuals, strong in visualizing, navigating, art, and design. We have bodily kinesthetic intelligence. These are our body smart people, excellent at movement, coordination, physical dexterity, and performing arts. We have our musical intelligence. These are the music smart individuals, attuned to rhythm, melody, harmony, and appreciation of music. We have interpersonal intelligence, our people smart individuals who are skilled at understanding and interacting with others with empathy and collaboration. And we have our intrapersonal intelligence. These are self-smart individuals with strong self-awareness, understanding of their own emotions, motivations, and goals. And finally, we have our naturalistic intelligence. These are our nature smart people, understanding and interacting with the natural world, identifying patterns, classifying, and environmental awareness. So how does the MI theory specifically impact diverse learners? First, it leads to a broadened definition of giftedness. Educators can look beyond traditional academic performance to identify strengths in areas like arts, athletics, social leadership, or even nature observation. It also significantly reduces cultural bias. Traditional IQ tests often reflect Western cultural values, and my theory encourages culturally sensitive assessments, allowing students to demonstrate their abilities in ways that are truly meaningful to their background. This leads to greater empowerment. Students from various backgrounds who might otherwise feel marginalized by a narrow definition of giftedness can feel more recognized and valued when their unique talents are acknowledged and cultivated. And critically, it supports differentiated instruction. And my theory provides a framework for educators to design lessons and activities that cater to the different intellectual strengths, ensuring that all students have opportunities to learn and excel in ways that resonate with their individual smartness. Let's explore the impact of MI theory through the lens of culture and economics. In terms of cultural relevance, MI theory allows us to recognize talents valued in diverse cultures that might not be emphasized in mainstream schooling. For example, in many indigenous cultures, strong naturalistic intelligence or a deep understanding of the environment and interpersonal intelligence through community harmony, storytelling, and oral traditions are highly valued forms of knowledge and leadership. Similarly, in many global cultures, musical and bodily kinesthetic intelligence expressed through traditional music, dance, and crafts are central to identification or to identity and celebration. And my theory validates these strengths as legitimate intelligences. For students from varying economic backgrounds, those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds may not have had the access to resources that foster traditional academic skills. However, they often develop strong interpersonal, bodily kinesthetic, or naturalistic intelligence through real world experiences and community engagement. And my theory provides a crucial framework to identify these strengths, which might otherwise be overlooked by standardized tests, and build upon them for both academic and personal growth. And my theory also plays a vital role in challenging gender stereotypes. Traditional gifted identification often aligns with gendered expectations. For example, boys excelling in logical, mathematical, and spatial areas, and girls in linguistic. And my theory helps dismantle these by acknowledging a broader spectrum of strengths. For instance, girls who might not show giftedness in traditional math or science, but excel in spatial intelligence through architecture, design, or visual arts, or bodily kinesthetic intelligence through dance or sports, can be recognized. Conversely, boys who are strong in interpersonal intelligence as natural leaders or mediators, or linguistic intelligence through creative writing or poetry can be identified as gifted rather than being confined to the expectations of mathematical prowess. Ultimately, this leads to holistic development by recognizing all intelligences. The MI theory promotes a more complete understanding of an individual's potential, moving beyond gendered expectations of aptitude and fostering the development of all intelligences and all students. So how do we put MI theory into practice? First, we need to use varied assessment methods. This means moving beyond standardized tests. We should use portfolios, observations, performance tasks, projects, self-assessments, peer nominations, and input from parents. These assessments must also be culturally sensitive, allowing students to demonstrate knowledge in multiple ways. Next, differentiated instruction is key. Designing lessons that engage multiple intelligences offers students choice in how they learn and how they demonstrate their understanding. For example, allowing them to write a report versus creating a diorama, or giving a speech versus composing a song. Also, providing enrichment activities that cater to specific intelligence strengths. Project-based learning, PBL, is an excellent approach, as it naturally allows students to use and develop various intelligences, incorporating artistic, kinesthetic, social, and naturalistic components. We also need strong collaboration with families and communities, engage parents and community members to understand and identify talents that may be valued and nurtured outside of the school setting. This helps build the bridge between school and home cultures, creating a more supportive environment. Finally, consistent educator training is crucial. Provide professional development for teachers on MI theory and culturally responsive, gifted identification strategies to combat unconscious biases and expand their understanding of giftedness. In conclusion, recognizing giftedness in diverse populations requires a critical examination of our current practices, a clear understanding of historical biases, and unwavering commitment to equitable identification. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence offers a truly powerful framework for broadening our understanding of giftedness, helping us move beyond these narrow, traditional academic definitions. By fully embracing MI theory, educators can create far more inclusive learning environments that identify, nurture, and celebrate the diverse intellectual strengths of all students, ensuring that no talent goes unseen. Thank you.